Welcome to Just Wanna Quilt, a research podcast coming out of Tulane University Law School, where we explore all kinds of things, stories about quilting, tools, field trips, maybe some famous quilters stop by, and, of course, a little bit of copyright thrown in just for fun. This is Elizabeth Townsend-Gard, your host, and I'm a law professor at Tulane University Law School and a faculty fellow at the A.B. Friedman School of Business at Tulane. And I just want to quilt. So today we talk to Patty Dudek of Elm Street Quilts. She is, along with Kristen Esser, running the hand piecing quilt along. So we talk about that and all kinds of things. Again, if you want to take a look at the hand piece quilt along, you can go to elmstreetquilts.com or to kristenesser.com.
Hi, my name is Patty Dudek, and I'm calling from Cary, North Carolina.
Awesome. And what's your first memory of someone sewing or quilting in your life?
See, Elizabeth, I knew you were going to ask that, so
I know, right?
Thought ahead.
Right, that's what I ask.
Because I hadn't thought about this for a long time, but my aunt, I was probably in middle school. My sister and I were junior bridesmaids in her wedding, and she made us our junior bridesmaids dresses. So that's my first memory of sewing.
That's really cool.
Now, no one in my family quilted, but
interesting.
But middle school.
And when did you start sewing?
Probably in middle school as well, 8th grade home ec kind
Very
of class.
Cool.
But I didn't actually start sewing probably till my 20s, like actively making things, whether it was, things around the house and eventually quilts.
Yeah. How important was home ec? Because people always say like, oh, home ec isn't here anymore. That's sad. But I also hear a lot of like home ec wasn't that big. Like it exposed me, but it wasn't what got me interested.
Yeah, for me, it wasn't that big of a deal. I can't say I enjoyed it, but
yeah, I know.
I did learn how to sew in it, so there was something there.
And then what happened in your 20s? Why did you start sewing in your 20s?
Just something to do when I wasn't working. Mm-hmm. So I always liked making things, creating things, and I think I got my mom's old sewing machine that she never used, and I just started making gifts for people. Bags, but not complicated bags. Mm-hmm. Stuff like that.
And so let's go to now. So what do you do now with sewing, and sort of in what role does sewing or quilting play in your life today?
So I retired about 3.5 years ago. And so prior to retirement, quilting was all about stress relief because my job was pretty intense. And I would come home, and I didn't get to sew every day, but I knew I could if I
What were you doing?
I had time.
What were you doing?
I was an executive for a large software company.
Interesting.
And we were running people's software 24 hours a day and shipping out new releases, and there was always something that needed attention.
That's stressful.
So it was very stressful. And I had worked for a long time. But so prior to retiring, it was all about stress relief. That's really what it was. I would just make a lot of stuff because when I was sitting at my machine, you kind of could tune the world out. So that made a big difference. Post-retirement, it's probably more about experimenting than anything else because life is still stressful. So I still need a stress relief, right? Yeah. So that part is still there, but it's a different kind of stress once the work stress was gone. So now it's just like try something. That's how I started trying hand piecing because I just wanted to see, okay, what was this all about? So.
Right. So I am part of your sew along for hand piece sew along. So tell me with Kristen, and we've interviewed Kristen before, and I think we're interviewing at least one of or two of your winner people too.
Yes.
So tell me how this started and what is this? What are we doing at the moment?
Yeah. So let me tell you how it started. So since you've talked to Kristen, she has a podcast.
Yeah.
And
we started our podcast like the same month last year. How weird is that?
That's quite a coincidence.
I know, weird, cool. Right?
Yeah. And so I made, and I'll send you a picture of it afterwards, but I started hand piecing. It's my interpretation of a double wedding ring quilt, and I hand pieced and I hand quilted it last year. It's like my favorite quilt I ever made.
That's really cool.
And I was in the hand quilting part, and I was listening to Kristen's podcast, and she was saying, I really need to get back to hand piecing. And I went, aha! So she's a friend of a friend. We had never spoken
You hadn't
before.
met. Oh, that's so
No,
interesting.
we've never met. So Frances Dow, who I know you've spoken to multiple times, and I are friends, and Frances and Kristen are friends.
Frances, yes, we've interviewed Frances, right?
Of course.
Yeah, she's great.
Yes,
I
you
love
have.
Frances.
And so I knew of Kristen through Frances.
That's so funny.
Because they're good friends. And so I reached out to Kristen and said, hey, you want to do this together? And she had never run a quilt-along before. I had. She didn't know what she was getting herself into, and I twisted her arm, and that's how we got started. So
Interesting.
it was so much fun just to collaborate on what the design was going to be and reach out to sponsors and make all the decisions and stuff like that. So what the Hand Piece Quilt-along is all about is to just introduce people to hand piecing. So
Great.
we have 9 blocks. We started in January. People could still join.
Yeah.
Every week we give a tutorial for a new block, and we started out first. They're small blocks. On
They
purpose.
are. They're like 6.5. Are they 6.5?
Yeah,
I
6.
should know this because I'm making them. I hope they are. I thought they're supposed to be 6.5.
Well, at the end of the day, as long as they're all the same size,
The same size.
It doesn't
That's
matter.
true.
Yeah, as long as they're all the same size. But we wanted it to be small, and we really tried to come up with blocks that we could teach a few blocks, basic 4 patches to get the idea of hand piecing, and then kind of build on that, and then reassemble those pieces to make different blocks. And so we have 9 blocks altogether. The patterns for 7 are out, and then kind of have the month of April to catch up and put your quilt top together. And then we have these amazing grand prizes. We have such wonderful sponsors. But yes,
cool.
as you said, we have somebody, we ran a little contest for someone who had created at least 4 blocks, and then someone's going to be one of your interviewees to talk about what it's like to be part of a quilt along.
Right, exactly. I'm so psyched about this. You're our first sponsor. We've been sponsored by stuff, but you're our first outreach. And I'm like, well, we want to play. I'm like, I don't know what we could get. We don't have anything to give. I'm like, wait, we do. We can have someone on the podcast. It will be fun. Yeah. So, it's great. It's fun to be part of something.
Yeah, but it's been like, it's wildly popular, far beyond what Kristen and I had thought it would be.
Hand quilting is totally popular right now. It's so interesting, right?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
It keeps growing. Every time we turn around, like more people join the Facebook group, get on the mailing list and stuff like that. It's really cool.
So interesting. So do you all think you're going to do something else with hand piecing after this? Now that you built our skills up, take a break.
Yeah, we think
because there are a lot of work. People don't realize we did a sew along with Jen Kingswell's Gypsy Wife pattern last year, and it's just a lot. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to prep for it because we had to make everything ahead of time, and then write up all the blog posts and check each other's math because we take turns. We alternate on who posts which
really
blog.
Nice.
And then while it actually started, that's actually where so much work happens. And that's why you got to get all the prep work done ahead of time because there's so many questions that pop up or people get all panicky because their seams aren't right. And you try and help out as many people as you can.
Yeah, totally. Now, tell me about, this is so great. Tell me about the patterns. You made a cool chunky alphabet. You have other patterns. So tell me about being a pattern maker. And have you always done that or sort of how do you do it? Looks like you do a lot of foundation piecing too. At least the alphabet is.
Yeah, the alphabet is. So I've only done a few patterns. So I've gotten 2 patterns in magazines. One just came out yesterday in Make Modern magazine.
What magazine?
Make Modern magazine.
Make Modern.
So if you go to my last blog post from yesterday, you can see that was the quilt I had in QuiltCon, and I also now published the pattern for that.
That is so
I've done a
cool.
few. The chunky alphabet's my most popular, and then I've done little bag patterns.
Where is your blog? I don't see it. Where's your?
It's Elm Street Quilts.
Yeah, I'm here, but I don't see just go to home?
Yeah, go to home.
Oh, home. Okay. It's so pretty. That's so cool. I love it. That's so cool. So how did you get it in the magazine? Tell us a little bit about that. It's so interesting. This is so nice. So
first, the quilt is called Briar Rose, for those not looking at the screen.
And this is the one, I'm sorry, sorry about that. So it's called Briar Rose, and this is the one that was at QuiltCon. And
it was the one that was at QuiltCon.
Is it half square triangles? Is that what it is?
Yeah,
but like super cool, interesting half square triangles.
Well, right. So what it is, first it was part of the Michael Miller Challenge. So you had to use a set of fabrics. And I had that set of fabrics sitting on my cutting table for like a month. Like, what is this? But a friend was doing a Crown of Thorns traditional quilt, and I started looking at the Crown of Thorns block and went, wait, how could I make this modern? So it's my modern interpretation of the Crown of Thorns block. So you have the rose in the center, and then all those half square triangles are the thorns kind of exploding across.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But no, it's a really cool magazine. It comes out digitally, and I kind of like that actually, because that means I always have it, and I don't have to worry about, moving piles of magazines around my house and stuff like that.
We're very, I know, they take up space.
Yeah. But, I mean, they're a great magazine to work with, so if anyone listening, is
So tell me how you,
so
how did you decide to did you enter that into the magazine, or how did that happen exactly?
Yeah, well, that's my second one in that magazine. So a prior one I had done, I really liked it, and I thought that one was called Sequence. It's based on the Fibonacci sequence. And I just sent you, they have a submission form, and I filled that out and sent them I think it was an EQ7 mock-up. And so once I had the design for Briar Rose, I went, let's see if they're interested in this one too. And I was happy they were, and it timed out well because it was in QuiltCon and now it's in the magazine like within 30 days. So. Yeah,
that is so awesome. And then do you think, will you be able to do standalone patterns with it? Do you have a particular time frame on the contract that they have to have
3 months. It's
How much?
3 months.
3 months.
3.
Oh, that's not terrible.
Yeah.
3 months is
so
great.
I have the rights to my first one. The sequence one, I just haven't gotten around to turning it into my own pattern, but I will.
That's really interesting. Now with the patterns, how much you had it, are you still at your pattern store? Do you have a pattern store at Etsy now, Blueprint, or do you do your own pattern store?
It used to be in Craftsy. Blueprints, but they eliminated all their independent.
I'm sorry, say it again.
So Craftsy, I don't know.
Were you part of that debacle at the holidays?
Yeah.
All right. So tell them, because I heard about all of this. Tell the listeners what happened, because it was kind of shocking, wasn't it? What they did?
It was. So in December, and one of the problem parts of it is they gave everybody such incredibly short notice.
What was that about?
It was right before the holidays.
Terrible.
So not great timing.
I mean, did you feel like as an executive, a former executive, like who made this decision? This seemed like, first they were rebranding, which I don't know why they were doing that. That seems stupid to me too. And then doing it just before Christmas, giving people short notice, and sort of the bad feeling you got from the whole thing was, and like no way to appeal. So tell them what happened, because it was like a big thing, right?
It was a big thing, yeah. So pretty much they told you, in 10 days or some very short amount of time, your online pattern shop was closing, period, end of discussion. And a few designers' shop would remain open, but Craftsy/Blueprint would choose which of your patterns would be in the shop.
Wow.
So in some ways, I did not have that many out there. And so I just moved them to PayHip.
You moved them to what?
To PayHip. It's just it's not Etsy. It's just another online.
PayHip.
PayHip. PayHip.
HIP. And how is that? That's just a digital.
It's just all digital media. So you can have.
Oh, so you can just put it on your website? Is that the way, or is it on their?
It's on their. So they manage the whole shopping cart experience. And
they take 5. It looks like they take. There's no charge, but 5% transaction fee.
Yeah. So they take a little bit, where Craftsy did not take a little bit. So there's
Craftsy didn't take anything.
And disadvantage. So for me, it wasn't that big of a deal. I'm not in the business to make tons of money out of my patterns. I'm just trying to fund my fabric buying habits.
Yeah, I get it.
I tell the truth there.
Right. No, I think that's reasonable.
But for other designers, this was a big deal. This was their income.
This was huge,
was a major part of their business. Yeah.
Yeah. This was not cool.
And those designers whose stores were not forcibly closed.
Yeah.
There was an uproar because the patterns that Craftsy chose to keep were not their best-selling patterns, or not the ones that the designers would consider their best-selling patterns. So it was very strange.
Do they have any sense of why why they chose what they chose?
I don't know.
No, you don't know.
I mean, I've certainly read people's accounts about, what they thought might have happened, but it was just terrible. So they pushed a lot of designers out. Now, for some, I'm sure it gave them a reason to really look at their inventory and say, okay, let me just focus on this set of patterns and maybe my marketing around that and stuff like that. But anyway, so I had, some patterns there, but again, it's only just, it produces just a little bit of income. I fund some fabric.
Got it.
Which is good.
All right. So I'm at your website. So I'm trying it. So I'm at purchase. I looked at your chunky alphabet, which is adorable. It's foundation piecing. You can now with the foundation, and then you just click it. I'm putting in my address, my email address, and then it's just gonna tell us buy now. What happens when I say do buy now?
Well, you have to pay.
Do you know? Have you ever done this?
Well, yeah, I bought it.
But how does it know my credit card information?
It'll come to you. It'll be a PayPal kind of thing.
Oh, I see. It's a PayPal thing. So then it just says.
Now, the nice thing about that is, which you might be interested in, is when you, and if you wanted to try it as part of the Handpiece Quilt Along, our coloring page was out there. And so you could try that whole experience for free.
I think I must have, because I think I have the coloring pages.
And the download, they'll throw, in the PDF on every page is your name or email address or something.
Really?
So it's not true protection, but it at least is a little bit telling people,
it's like,
you downloaded it for you. Yeah.
It makes me, Westlaw and Lexis, the fancy things that they're very expensive that we get law research. They always have your name and all of that on top of it. I think they're doing the same thing of like.
So just a similar thing as that,
interesting.
Which I think is good, especially when I put free stuff out there. So if somebody is going to choose to send it along, I prefer they, download it directly, because then I have their email if I want to reach out to them later.
Interesting. And you're just uploading a PDF? Is that how it's?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, PDF and photos. Yeah.
And that sounds great. Well, we should try that. That's really cool. PDF and photos. Right. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then they just, they take their 5% and then they send the rest of you to you by...
Yeah. Just PayPal. It just shows up in my PayPal.
Does it? Is it 5% plus the credit card fees, or is it just the 5%?
So there'll be two charges, and I don't know the percentage. I'm not sitting in front of my computer. I don't have it next to me to double check. So you lose two fees. One is their processing fee, and if it says 5%, and then PayPal always takes a small chunk too. I think
so like 2.5% or something like that. So
So you do lose, but
do you have to pay? It's digital, so do you pay taxes? Is there taxes? No taxes. Interesting.
If it is, they handle it.
They handle it.
You don't have to deal with that.
And then it just goes into your account. Do they wait? Do you have to have like a certain amount? Like
no,
we have
immediate. It's immediate.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool. All right, we'll have to try it.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Yeah, try it.
We've been thinking about if we can't decide. It's like the amount. It's like the decision making sometimes takes longer than the actual implementation. There's this really cool consignment platform that allows you, it doesn't do digital, so you'd have to do something like PayHip. But we get so many interesting products and things happening, but there's no easy way for like first of all, we don't take a percentage of anything that happens. We're like, and the university's like, you need to start to make money. So we're like, oh crap, okay, we'll figure that. We have like one more year of like funding, and then they're like, you're like an entrepreneurial thing, you need to make money. So this platform allows us, like if you had a physical item that you wanted to sell, you could sell it. It's like it's kind of like Etsy or Craftsy, I guess. But we can control the percentages, so you can also put things online, and you can do trading. So you can use your credit of whatever you have to buy something else in the system, which is weird. I don't know how that works, because at some point you have to have real money to kick it out of the system. But I think that's really interesting.
The trading idea is pretty cool.
Yeah. So we're thinking about that. We see so many people that are making things. It does not work with digital, and that is a problem. So we're trying to hopefully see if they end up. But it's just a software platform. We think it's really cool. They think we're really weird because they're like, why would you want this? But we can see it for like guilds and other sort of people who are like doing some sort of they only are doing one or two things, right? Or we have a guest like Leah Day on who's got a book, so that it's easier for our viewers to get to it because they know that they just go to our featured guests.
They go to one spot,
right? So that we can sort of have that. But I don't know. We'll see. But it's a software thing, so we're still like working it out. And if you're going to do that, I mean, it does cost money. It's not free, but it would be a cost that the university would pick up, so that we could then have people posting and doing all that. So I don't know. We'll see. Right. I don't know. We're still working on it. But it is interesting, you know. I mean, I imagine you feel that, I mean, your experiences with all kinds of things, the question is really like that friction of how hard is it to get people from like from seeing it to buying it, and making that as frictionless as possible is really important, you know. Yeah,
for sure.
So
for sure, that is a big part of it.
It is a big part of it, and I don't know if we'll do it, but it's interesting, and it's definitely interesting software. All right, let me go back to your webpage. Okay. What is the 1 monthly goal thing? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, I love my 1 monthly goal. So 1 monthly goal happens monthly. Surprise.
It does.
So in the first 7 days of the month, people declare their goal for that month. I want to add a binding to a quilt. I want to make 10 blocks. I want to finish the quilting, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so they publicly declare it. So it could, a lot of people do it on Instagram or on blogs, but it could be on Flickr or Pinterest, as long as other people can visit you. And then you join the link up. And then at the end of the month, the last 7 days of the month, you come back and said, I did it. And you're the judge. If you said you were going to do 10 and you say you did 10, that's good enough for me. Like, I don't like count in the picture or anything like that, but you have to share pictures so people can enjoy it. And then from those people who finished their goal, you have to come both times, the beginning of the month and the end of the month, then you randomly win prizes.
That's very
cool.
I
have great sponsors.
Yeah, you do. You've got Fat at Quarter Shop, Make Modern, Aurifil, Quilter's Planner, Precision Tool, Paper Pieces, Put a Quilt on It. We've interviewed a bunch of yours. We've interviewed... We haven't interviewed Fat Quarter Shop yet. We should really... And Aurifil we're supposed to interview. But Put a Quilt on It. She's amazing. Christy's amazing.
Yeah.
And Quilter's Planner.
So one of the sponsors every month is a designer. So it's Tara really cool. One in this time. And so for me, and the readership is all over the place. There's some very traditional quilters, some very modern quilters. And so I try and come up with designers who are kind of all over the quilting.
And how are the designer sponsors? Explain that to me.
So my goal is just to introduce more people to these designers, kind of to help promote these really terrific folks.
Yeah, right.
They offer usually a PDF pattern. Sometimes it's patterns. Sometimes it's some designers, like if they have a fabric line, sometimes they give fabric in a pattern. They're all different. The majority of the time it's just a PDF pattern.
So cool.
But it's just really fun. And kind of the best part is when I get to send an email and tell somebody they won, they're like, yay!
That's really cool because they finished something, right? They finished their goal.
Something.
That's really great. You win just because you finished something.
Yeah, and that's the other part of it that's really fun is people, I get emails all the time, and they're particularly nice to read when I'm having like a bad day.
Yeah.
I'm like, I never would have finished this project without 1 monthly goal. So
that's really cool.
It's really...
I love it. I will try it. Yeah. I'm totally going to try it. I got a Gypsy Wife quilt that's like just inching along, so maybe I'll try that for...
Yeah, and so you don't have, like some people go all out and they use it to say, I'm going to finish this quilt, which is great. But you don't have to do that. The point is just to make progress on something. It could be little.
So keep working on my blocks for the hand quilting.
Exactly.
Now, how do you get? You guys do this all the time. At the bottom, you're putting all of the. How do you import? Is that just part of the software that you're using? You import and number. You do this for the for the hand quilting too. At the bottom, you have everybody's stuff, which is so awesome. I like that.
Yes, that's a link up tool that they recently changed their pricing structure. So I think now they have like 3 tiers. There's a tier that's free, a tier that's a little bit of money, and another tier that's a lot more money. If you go down the bottom, it should say.
Oh, it has it on the bottom.
Inklinks, INLIN. Well, you can read it again. I'm not in front of me. Well, actually,
Inlinks, INLINZK.
Yeah,
KZ
and so
links.
it's straightforward to use, and they just updated the user interface, and it's a lot easier to use.
I love
And
it.
so you set it up, and you say, I want this thing to start, at a certain date and time and end at a certain date and time.
Oh, cool.
And then you get the codes, the HTML to add to your blog.
And it adds, you can also add giveaways and blog hops for like $8 a month. That's really great. And the free one is there's no giveaways or no code, no blog hops.
Yeah.
But that's really
so the blog
cool.
hop means that the same, that like Christian and I essentially are doing a blog hop in that we both use the same code every Thursday when we republish the link up. Doesn't matter which of our blogs you go to, as long as you add the picture to one of ours, it'll show up on the other. So we're using
really
that same HTML code.
And then they add it by just giving you a link to either their Instagram or their blog, and then it will show up on their.
Yeah,
I love it. We should totally try this. This is so amazing.
No, it's pretty cool, and you can. I've done tutorials to help people, especially with the handpiece quilt along, because some folks had never seen one of these before. But you can use Pinterest. So if you don't have a blog, and some people don't use Instagram or it's private, you can use Pinterest. It could be a public Facebook page, just not a private. It just has to be public so anybody can get to it. And the fun part is, if you click on one of those, then you could go visit that.
It goes, that's what I just did. This is so cool.
Wow, it's so cool.
I totally want to do this. Yeah. Wow, this is great. Yeah, you just click on one of them, and then you go exactly to it, which is so awesome, which means that you're also giving people the opportunity to have a bigger audience for whatever they are. It's not just their picture. It's just not a picture. It's a link. Yeah. Which is really cool.
And so because I've been doing one monthly goal, this must be my third year, if not the fourth. And it's probably the third. There are some people that do it month after month, and I visit every single one because I'm just naturally curious to see what people are doing. And plus, I want to thank them for being part of One Monthly Goal. And you see there are some people who also visit many of them, and like they've become friends because they've met each other through Link Up, which is really cool. I love that part. Great.
Now, what motivates you? What role do you think tutorials play? Because you've got a bunch of tutorials here, both on quilting and on staying organized and all kinds of things. Yeah. Why do you do them, and what role do they play in kind of your whole, thing you're doing?
Why do I do them? Because I like to. The whole blog is because I like to.
You like to, because it's fun.
I like to share stuff.
You like to share, yeah.
I think it's, if I figure out how to do something and I think other people might like it too, I just like to share it. And then I hope.
Do you think that's part of our culture? Because it feels like that is part of, like, quilting is community. Yeah. It always has been. Yeah. It's solitary and community. Yeah. Sharing's part of it, Yeah, sharing, I think you're right. I think sharing is a part of it. It's just, you just sort of like when you finish something or you figure something out, you just want to tell somebody, and a tutorial is a great way to do it. So I like doing tutorials. So. Now, how many people are doing your monthly goal? Do you keep track of that?
Oh, yeah, I absolutely keep track. So I think last month, or this month that we're in now, so that it just closed on March 7th. So we're about at 125, and it varies anywhere between 100 and 150.
That's really
early
cool.
In the year, it's higher.
Because we're all like, we're going to be better than last year.
Exactly. And then during the summer, it dips down for obvious reasons. A lot of people go on vacation. And then as you get towards the holidays, it ramps up again because it's like, I got to make this gift. Right. So, but yeah, I do track it. I'm a data person. I love data. So.
It's so funny because we did, we're having our New Year. We're sort of officially being New Year after Mardi Gras because, no one around here wants to start anything till after Mardi Gras. And it was rather late, so we just had Mardi Gras. But I've been talking to Gigi, who does our sew along stuff, and we're like, how about if we do, instead of big projects, things are so easy to fit. Like our sew along is like, this is so easy. You're going to be so happy because the Gypsy Wife was so hard and so horrible that we're like, okay. Our sew along is like, it happens so fast.
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons we did our sew along, like you could still compete for a grand prize if you only did 5 of the blocks, is because sometimes you can't do all the pieces of it.
No,
so
it's
you
true.
just pick.
It's so true.
And that way you can get 5. Some people are going to do all 9. Some people are doing 4 versions of the quilt at once.
So crazy, right?
Yeah, a little bit. But you can still get 4 done, and you make a cable runner out of it, and you get the claim success.
So interesting.
Little smaller victories.
All right, and so I've gotten to, I think, am I still at yours? Yes. Do you have a page about a treadle?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, sadly,
what happened?
I haven't gotten it to work yet.
You haven't gotten it to work yet. I so want to try a treadle. I so want a treadle. I just think it'd be so interesting.
Yeah, no, I love it. I use it. It's just displayed at the moment in the room. So it's missing a part, and it will move. So the needle will move and fabric will move under it, but it will only move backwards. And it is not me.
It will only work backwards. Well, I get it.
It's missing the lever. It's missing something. I don't remember what it's called. So
now, have you sewn on a treadle before?
No. I just saw it in I was taking my son. He was moving into his first apartment. We were in a thrift store looking for stuff for him. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want one of these. Totally. So it's just because I love it. It's
I totally want to try it.
Yeah.
I really think it would be, I just want to see. I heard you have to be super coordinated.
Probably, yeah. I mean, Bonnie Hunter will always post about her treadle. She moves her treadle out onto a porch and she treadles away.
Oh,
I'll get it sooner or later. I just need somebody actually to it's very heavy. They either have to come to my house or I have to manage to get it to their house. And help me get it working.
Andy Barney's teaching people how to fix their sewing machines. I wonder, the sewing doc, she's in Georgia. Do you know Andy? I wonder how, can she fix treadles?
There are people who can, actually. And so there's even somebody locally where I am who can. So it's just got to become a priority. But right now,
so funny.
It's just
Genobi has a treadle machine now. You have to have the base. The regular, you have to get a base, but you can buy a modern treadle machine from Genobi.
I did not know that. I'm gonna have
and it's
to
not that
look
expensive. I mean, it's like, I don't know, $300 or $400, but it's not like gargantuan. But then you have to figure out the base. I think it'd be so cool.
Have the base. Yeah,
right. You have the base, right? You have the base. Oh my gosh, I think it'd be just so cool. I don't know why. I'm like, maybe I'm getting ready for the apocalypse or something. I need a treadle.
Yeah. Exactly.
Or the next hurricane here. So when the power goes out, you can still be like,
right, still sewing.
Still sewing because, the power's out for a week after a hurricane.
Yeah.
So, well, this is so insanely cool. This is so awesome. I feel like we haven't talked about everything, but I mean, I think it's just so great. I am totally one of your followers now with the Handpiece Quilt Along. I have not done this one, but I caught up this week, so I feel like it's nice because all you have to do is spend an evening with a husband, and we were watching films and just got it done. It was great,
Yeah, and you can travel with it, if you have to.
Now I did get one of the little things to mark it. It just came in the mail. I haven't tried that, so I'm a little nervous about that, but the marking tool, so we'll see how that goes. But do you have a favorite kind of needle that you use? What needles do you like?
I like small needles.
You like the short, small ones?
I like the short, small
Interesting.
ones.
I kind of like the Milners that are long. The Milner needles?
I
like the long ones.
In the other room in my house, I could show you all my needle collection.
All your needles?
I've tried them all, but they're I think there are 9. They're size 9. And I just like the short ones. I don't know. They just feel better in my hands for hand piecing. But, I was teaching a friend how to do it when we were at QuiltCon. And she's like, this needle's so small.
It is,
so it's kind of, personal.
Now, when the needles have the numbers, do you know what the numbers mean? Are they is 9, 10, 11, 12? What is that? Is it the head size? Is it the length of it? What is it?
So I'll send you when we're done. I'll email you a link to a great page you can download that tells you what each one of these things mean. But there's types of needles.
Yeah.
And then there's sizes. The numbers are the sizes. Then there's types. The types are have to do with the size of the eye and how sharp the point of the needle
Interesting.
is.
Oh, yeah, send it to me. That would be
Yeah,
great.
I'll send it to you.
Wow, I feel like I've learned so much today. This is great. This is so cool. I've got the in links thing. We've got the pay hip.
Yeah.
We've got needles. Like, okay, like maybe every Saturday morning I just have to come and like, learn more.
Yeah,
like, what are we learning today?
Yeah, I've run a bunch of quilt-alongs and one monthly goal, so I tried a lot of tools to do all these things.
Yeah, it's really cool. Well, this is awesome. This is so insanely awesome. Now, I guess the last question is, do you have any intellectual property questions or issues? What do you put on your patterns? Do you put any particular copyright notice? Do you worry about people using your patterns? Any worries?
No, again, because I am not trying to generate, real income.
Yeah.
I don't truly have any worries. I do put a copyright statement on them. I don't have it in front of me, but it's a pretty generic one. I can send that to you as well, that I found somewhere, and you can let me know offline if it's a good one or not.
Yeah.
So the chunky alphabet that you were looking at before.
I love the chunky alphabet.
It's really fun. I've made a lot of things with that. And that one, I know, like someone emailed me and said, they love that. They bought it. Would it be okay if they gave a copy to all their friends? And I
asked?
No, they asked. And I said, no.
No, how about buying it?
I'm sure they did, because their friends did not come back to buy it. So, so that bothers me a little, but.
Yeah, because it's digital, and you have that's interesting.
And that's where the pay hip, again, it's not true protection,
right?
But there is at least. It's clear this was downloaded by Jane Doe on it. So if somebody's handing it out to people, there's at least a little bit of awareness that they
I see what you're saying. Yeah, so interesting. Well, interesting. Yeah, and it's interesting because the alphabets themselves and fonts aren't protectable, but the thing you made is, right? So your version of it, how you made it, what you did, there's some protection from it. It's weird. It's interesting. And also, I think that, truthfully, whether it's protected or not protected, because when I went to QuiltCon and I gave these lectures, it was kind of this weird thing, because people were like, see, I told you. Like, they got really very weird on me. But it's really courtesy. It's custom and courtesy more than law, which is you made this. This gives you a little bit of money. Just pay the $8 and buy the alphabet. Don't be rude. Like, it's not a like a got you thing. It's that we all live in an ecosystem where we want to encourage you to make other chunky alphabets, and we do that by paying for them, right? So it isn't about. And so it'll be interesting to see. It made me a bit nervous, because people were like, because we are doing these projects, right? We're doing a for sale doctrine project where we're like cutting up a book and we're sending it out. But like we're doing all these weird things to things, but it's mostly because we want to experience. Like, this is what copyright allows us to do,
right?
But and with your thing, some of it's not protectable, but it's got the strongest protection with. It's a license, it's a software license. It's considered, it's under it's a digital thing, and we protect digital things really carefully. But it's custom.
Just interesting. Yeah.
I don't know. It's very interesting, isn't it? We live in interesting times. People aren't going to go to jail for making copies of your chunky alphabet, but it's just not cool. Like, just be good
That's
citizen.
Exactly what it is. It's just don't be rude.
Don't be rude, right? Just be good. Like, we've got a nice ecosystem. Don't be. And I think maybe that's what the project is about: is norming people to understand that is just part of the conversations. Is like, don't ask. Like, just pay the $8. And if you're going to have like a thing where you're like, look, we're doing it for a guild. We all need this. I would imagine just contact you, because you probably give them a licensing fee for like $40. Like, here, you all can use it. But just like, that's what I'm also sort of amazed at, is that the pattern makers don't have a licensing fee for groups automatically. That it seems like you all should have that on your website, like individual use, commercial use, group use.
That's a great idea.
And then you just and then people will be like, oh, I'm doing it for a group. Like, now you're allowed to donate. Now you're allowed to download 40 patterns, right?
Right.
And up to whatever. But it just seems like that it norms people into recognizing, oh, I am doing it professionally, so now I should pay $20 instead of $8 because I'm getting a commercial license. I don't know.
Right.
That's just,
that's a great idea.
I don't know. That's sort of from the last year. The pattern makers get very upset, but I don't feel like they're giving people enough information to, so I don't know. That's my bandwagon.
No, a group license makes a lot of sense.
Right? You know that from your software days, right?
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it. Yeah.
Right? Software Didn't you have different... I mean, because software, you're in the midst of it, right?
Yeah. I'm sure I forgot more than I ever knew. I don't know if that's right saying. But yeah, no, software licensing was a big deal because we ran software on our premises, so they paid a per user license. They could buy software that way if they wanted to run it in the corporation, or they could, there were all these different licensing. So yeah.
That's right. And it wasn't for sale. Like software doesn't have a for sale doctrine on it. The software company, I mean, there was some good lobbying there. So it isn't like, oh, well, I get my software and then I can give it to somebody else. You're getting a license to use it.
That's right.
And that's kind of why digital patterns are kind of covered under that. So... Yeah, it's interesting. It's so funny and then I know I'll let you go because now I'm just talking about ridiculous things. But, we've been talking to all these people, scholars, big execs at companies like big entertainment companies. And, we're all sort of in agreement that strangely the physical pattern has a lot of has for sale. Like I can take my physical pattern and give it to somebody else, so you don't get as much protection. But it's harder to make those copies and give it to your friend if it's in a book, right? Even though for sale doctrine, I mean, it's harder to be illegal with a pattern that's a physical pattern, but it gets less protection. But the digital patterns have more protection, but it's easier for them to go out in the world.
Somewhat ironic, but that's interesting.
Right? Yeah. And it's hard to explain to people that like a physical pattern and a digital pattern are looked at differently in the law.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm like, oh. So anyway, that's what we're doing. We're doing these ridiculous projects that go out next week where we're doing all the things to understand sort of what a pattern is. And so I keep telling people, like, send me I can't do anything if you send me a PDF. Unless I get your permission, I can't cut it up and send it out and do all these ridiculous things. I have I have much more restriction, which is really interesting. So
it is.
So I guess I don't know. I don't know how to respond to all of that. But I'm definitely going to buy your chunky alphabet because I love.
Oh, good.
I love alphabets and I love paper piecing. So I'm your customer.
I'd love to see what you do. Yeah. No, I did. One of my first quilt-alongs I did was around that alphabets.
It's great.
So we made a. It was like eat, sleep, quilt, repeat.
Yeah, it's so funny. I love that. And somebody made one of those, not that, but they used that phrasing. How much do you feel like that phrasing is protected? Like, did you find it someplace? Did you feel like you made it up? Like, quilt, eat, sleep, repeat.
Yes, and I didn't feel like I'm sure. So what I found was it was like on a baby quilt, but I think instead of quilt, it was like poop or something.
Poop, right? Right. Yeah, and I've seen it. I think that it's
so. Yeah, so it's not. It's just a phrase.
And I think it's like merger doctrine. I think it's like kind of so common that kind of the expression merges into like whatever. Because
I'm sure someone had it on a quilt before I put it on a quilt.
Exactly.
But I didn't see that. It was this baby quilt. I went, oh wait.
Right. Well, we have somebody who made us one that says that, but it's got spools as well, and it's in our colors. So it does that kind of thing. It does like our thing, like our logo. But it's interesting. Then people asked if we had patterns, and we don't have a pattern. So we're figuring all that out. But your stuff is so cool. I love the idea of it paper pieced, and your alphabet. I'm like an alphabet fanatic. Like I just keep.
Excellent.
I love alphabets. So
excellent.
So so I'll purchase that when we get off because I don't. Somehow it didn't let me. I tried, but I think I have to get my credit card because I think it asked me for the date or something. So cool. Well, this is great. I don't know. I had such a nice morning. Cool. Well, we'll try to get this posted and up as soon as possible. And thanks again for teaching me how to hand quilt. It's really fun.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you're joining us, and good luck using the link up tool and all the other things.
Yeah, totally. Awesome. This is so cool. We'll try it. Yeah. This is very cool. All right, fabulous. What?
And just, I want to see you on 1 monthly goal. So
I'm totally going to do it. So next month, 1 monthly goal. We'll totally do it. Yeah. Are you part of the Quilting Army? Are you on our Facebook page? Can you talk? Can you post? Have you posted about 1 monthly goal?
Maybe
can you do that?
Maybe. I will do that next
Do it as it gets up, and then we'll sort of see if we can get a group to try it. I think it'd be really fun. Yeah,
good. I'll do it.
That's the other part about the Army is we're trying to be like let's go do this thing. Like we're trying to be like a hive, right? Like like a crowd, like an army, where we show up and try things. So we'll do yours. That would be great, April.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Okay, cool, awesome. All right, do you need to review this before we post, or are you good?
No, I'm good.
You're good. Thank you.
All right. It was great to talk to you.
Bye, ya.
Take care. Bye.
The recording has stopped.
So you've been listening to Just Wanna Quilt, a research podcast coming out of Tulane University Law School. And I'm Elizabeth Townsend Garr. If you like this podcast, keep listening. Also, we have a Facebook group. Come join us. We talk about a lot of things. We also have an Instagram account. And of course, most importantly, I really hope you get a chance to quilt today.